I'm going to experiment here with a variety of different art supplies on different papers and using some different techniques to create Asemic writing. Asemic writing is a wordless form of writing. The word Asemic means having no specific semantic content or without the smallest unit of meaning. So with Asemic writing, the viewer is going to fill in the blanks. It's similar to looking at abstract art. The viewer fills in the meaning. So I'm going to just start with something simple like a Prismacolor marker, a thick one, and I'm going to create some different types of writing. And they are mimicking handwriting, but there is no meaning there. So it's going to be as individual as your personal handwriting. Kind of how a doctor writes a prescription or some people's signatures. This is, similar to doodling or scribbling, and it's an important element in mixed media art because our eye is drawn to writing. It's drawn to text, it's drawn to words, and our eye tries to find meaning from something like this. So we can create Asemic writing in a variety of ways using a variety of tools. So I'm just going to grab another piece of paper and a very thin micron pen. This is 0.05. And what I like to do sometimes is think about what words I might be writing, but write them in a way that you can't read them. So I'm going to think about this sentence. You can make out some of the letters, but if you continue on, and this is great if you're doing art journaling and you want to actually journal, you can write, "Dear Diary, today was an amazing day." Looks like writing, but really hard to read for the person that comes back and sees that. Our eye is drawn to it because our brain wants to take meaning out of when we see writing. Do you ever look at an old handwritten letter with a very fancy writing and you try to read it? We want to read it. We want to understand the message. So this is one way to create that Asemic writing. Another way, we'll use a different tool. This is a China marker or wax pencil, and we could scribble like I did there, or we could use our non-dominant hand. Now, if you're ambidextrous, this isn't gonna work as well, but I write terribly with my non-dominant hand. I don't know how lefties do it, y'all, but definitely gives you a different look. And you try to mimic letters. Some letters go above the line, some go below. Sometimes we cross a T or dot an I. And all of that becomes Asemic writing. Sometimes our our tool, our art supply, is going to give you a different kind of look. This is a tempera paint stick, so it's a thick. And so if I'm doing some Asemic writing with this, obviously it's much thicker and gives a different kind of look. Almost like graffiti. So that's with something thicker. Another case would be holding something differently than you would normally. So this is a thick Sharpie marker, and I would normally hold it like this. I'm going to hold it like this and attempt to make some writing. This is where sometimes it often tends to look like graffiti on the side of a train, the big letters, you can't really quite tell. So that's holding this differently. Another tool that I could hold differently would just be a normal crayon. This is a water-soluble Faber-Castell crayon. But if I hold it at the very end and I try to write, notice I have a lot less control. The crayon kind of goes where it wants to. And because it's a crayon, it kind of stops where it wants to. And the other thing is we don't have to continue in a linear fashion. Our writing can crisscross. And create all sorts of lines and patterns that are going to add interest to your mixed media piece. Another case where using a different kind of tool is going to get you different results. This is Art Graph, which is a water-soluble graphite that comes in a cool shape like Taylor's chalk. And this makes two different kinds of marks. So I can go the thin mark and do my Asemic writing, or I can use the edge. That's going to give me something similar to writing, but really takes on the characteristics of this. So I can also draw a line with the edge and get it kind of to spread out. This is Lyra water-soluble graphite. So again, if I hold my tool differently, I'm going to get different kinds of results. These are both graphite, but you can tell different weights and different thicknesses, heaviness of the tool or the art supply will give you very different kinds of lines. And then, of course, there's, they don't all have to be black. You can incorporate color into your Asemic writing. I often use Asemic writing to darken up a spot or lighten up a spot. And so one of my favorite white pens is the Uniball Signo. And so I'll do my Asemic writing on a dark background with this gel pen. And again, we can go at angles. Do it differently. If you normally write left to right, how about if you try to write right to left? Give you some different movements of your pen. And all of those give us you know, definitely a different look. Here's a piece that has text on it already, but I'm going to do some Asemic writing on top of the text so that basically there are 2 layers of things for people to look at. This is a Montana acrylic marker, big thick one. So I'm going to shake it up and get the ink flowing. All over my hand already. Look at that. Yes. So this is a really thick marker. So I'm going to make some kind of graffiti kinds of marks in a way that mimic the Asemic writing over the text. So there could be multiple layers of messages there. Do be careful using these. Sometimes you end up with ink all over yourself or paint. That is acrylic, so it will dry just like acrylic paint. Obviously, you could also do this with a pen and ink or a brush and paint. I'm going to take this photo with a dark background, and I'm going to take my white pen again and add Asemic writing, lighten up that background, add some line and pattern, some interest to this piece. So that's kind of fun. There's a little bit of a glare on it. So I think I've got some fun stuff there. I think I've tried out all my tools. So now what I'm going to do with my Asemic writing samples is I'm going to put together a small collage. This is 5" by 5" 140-pound cold press watercolor paper. I'm going to pull out my scissors and I'm going to look at some of the papers I created here and try to put together something interesting. I like the big thick, so that's going to be something I use. Just tearing these down into something a little more manageable. I wrote this, you know, left to right, but I'm going to tear it so that we have almost looks like foreign language characters, something like that. And we've got to do this. I'm going to piece some of these together and see if I can make a collage. I'm just going to use glue stick today. This is just experimenting, so I don't need to be all fancy about anything. like that. I like also when I'm working square and abstractly to turn the piece around and see what I like. I'm going to tear this photo in such a way that I can still see the little kid and the Asemic writing. I think that's kind of my focal point. I'm going to put him down with some art glitter glue. Actual old photo. Let's see if there's anything else I want to. Oh, I want to add a little bit of this. This is very brittle paper, so it's very easy to tear. It just wants to fall apart. I'll put that there. And then I want to add one more thing. I've got all these samples. I think I'm going to add part of a circle. Don't think I'm going to use the whole circle. I think I will cut part of that off. Maybe I'll use this part. Oh, I like that. All right. And there you have it. I've got a little mini collage using Asemic writing. A variety of papers, a variety of art supplies, and a variety of techniques to use to create the Asemic writing.